Primitive Life, a novel by Louise Richardson. Chapter 10, New Beginnings, Part 1. Having survived his voyage to Florida, escaping and swamping Haitian pirates along the way, Harvey Llewellyn was driven, or he did the driving. Nothing could stand between himself and escape, between himself and his liberty. He would maybe stay in the small town he landed at, up the coast from Miami, make some money, and figure out the rest of his life. Sure, I can take you out there, cheapest rates in the basin. Yeah, I'd love to catch some tarpon. Can't make any promises, but we'll see what we can do. Been in Boca Bonita long? Can't say I've seen you here before. Just retired Taurus dealer out of Fort Lauderdale, divorced and living the life. Ed Dowd. And you? Mike Kinney, local fire chief and barber. The department's all volunteer, but we haven't lost a building or a boat in years. Good to know. Proud to shake your hand. I'll be back at 1 with some bait and beer, and we'll shove off if that works for you. Sounds like a plan to me. Harvey Llewellyn, several weeks on, now with the stolen identity of Ed Dowd, told his latest customer. There goes a lifetime of scientific inquiry, he told himself, along with all hopes of professional recognition and promise. On the other hand, the boat chartering business in southern Florida was proving to be quite lucrative. As Ed, he was beginning to insinuate himself into the local community. He would even join the Chamber of Commerce and maybe the Rotarians. He could use a little stability in his life. The life of the desperado, always running from the law, always having to kill someone just to get by. That wasn't him. This is a goddamn paradise, Harvey/Ed told himself. I'll keep my nose clean and maybe even become a pillar of the community. It was the American dream, the whole American saga in microcosm, complete with the bodies strewn along the path of his own manifest destiny. But now he was not that killer any longer. He was Ed Dowd, hard-working, personable, local businessman with a bright future and absolutely no past. Hal Henderson was back in the Fertile Crescent, still in desert fatigues. He was a patriotic American, but he wondered if these conflicts were ever going to end. He would need to give up the sheriff's office for now. Otto was sheriff, at least until the next election. Hal had more dust to eat and more roadside bombs to dodge, if he could manage to do that, before he could see Galveston Island again. Sergeant Major Henderson. Second tour of Iraq, third if you count the first Gulf War. Man, my dad never spent as much time in Vietnam, and he was drafted. Mission accomplished. Who does Bush think he's kidding? I hate to say it, but he looked like a goddamn poser landing on that aircraft carrier and wearing a flight suit and acting like some kind of fucking officer. When did he ever put his life on the line? His military career was not stellar, and Cheney and Rumsfeld and the rest sending men into harm's way when they were a bunch of draft dodgers themselves. I'm sick of the whole lot. My boy Dennis, faggot that he is more of a man than any one of them. The kid's settling in okay, getting to be some kind of computer whiz, making big bucks. Well, good for him. He's renting his own place in Houston, Montrose area, I think. I don't want to even think of what goes on there, but the kid is making it on his own, fake leg and all. Otto is now sheriff. I guess they couldn't hold the job for me forever. When I get back for good, I might have a run against him. I never would have pegged him as a Democrat, though. What does that even mean anymore? Democrat and Republican, liberal and conservative? Daddy Bush was okay, I guess, and Ford. Reagan at least acted like a president. And Nixon was a son of a bitch, but he got things done. But W is just an idiot. Why didn't I see that before? Why didn't anybody? If I had to do it all over, I'd vote for Gore right now. I even miss Clinton. He's a sleaze, but he was a respectable president. Maybe I'm just pissed about pulling another tour of duty here in the armpit of the world. Kids are still getting blown up here, and we can't seem to do anything about it. Afghanistan is going all to hell. The Taliban's coming back. Al-Qaeda's bigger than ever. We just succeeded in making Iraq a goddamn recruitment poster for terrorists. That's all the mission we've accomplished here. But I'm going back out on the streets again tomorrow to do what I can. It was a beautiful downtown church wedding. Everybody came, even more than everybody came, and everybody stayed for the reception party at a vacation home of Otto's largest campaign contributor, a Houston realtor on the west end of Galveston Island, far enough from the murder scene so that Leah and friends were not uncomfortable. It was more than 3 years after the crime anyway. Leah and company had graduated, or not in some cases, and were ready to go on with their lives, though it was not one of those expensive affairs with fancy caterers and ice sculptures. There was shrimp and red snapper and just a sip of champagne for everyone. Everything well within the budget of Leah's father, and a friend of the groom had even donated the venue. "It's wonderful that you could come," Leah told Mrs. Sharp and Keisha Cummings at the reception, each with a crystal cup of shocking pink champagne sloshing just within each rim. "We wouldn't have missed it for the world," Keisha said. "Especially since you saved my life at that trial with the new evidence and all," Mrs. Sharp said. "I'm glad it worked out for you. You know, Mrs. Jakes is here," Leah just thought she would mention. "I know, I thanked her right away," said Mrs. Sharp. "Also, that prosecutor is around somewhere." "The snake," interjected Keisha. "Well, now, I guess he was just doing his job," Mrs. Sharp said magnanimously. "Now you better be careful of getting pink punch all over that nice white dress." "It's not like I'm going to wear the thing again," Leah joked. "Keisha, we better find your stepfather. He'll be wondering what happened to us." "Sure thing, Mama. Leah, we wish you the happiest life ever. Give us a hug." They all hugged and shed one tear, each for the occasion. "Thanks again for the nice food processor," Leah said in parting. "Leah," said her best friend Cheryl Kerr, catching her from behind, "your groom is going to dance with your brat sister if you don't get to him first." "That's right, we have to kick off the dancing," said Leah. "There is just so much responsibility in these tribal rituals. Maybe we should have had a simple courthouse wedding. Just Otto and me and maybe you and Mom and Dad and Sarah, if she promised to be really good." "Now, you know that wouldn't do. The newly elected sheriff of Galveston County had to have a real event, not to mention your dad who saved for years to give you away in style." "Tell me about it. You'd think he was pushing me out of the house. It's like, here's a $25,000 wedding, now get out of here. We'll come around to O&a-Half Street whenever we come up to the coast on a fishing trip." Knowing your dad, he's already socking it away for Sarah's wedding. Now she's the one he'll need to push out of the nest. "Don't be so sure. She's so precocious she'll probably elope with some goth biker guy when she's still in high school. Maybe. I think I saw a little tear in your dad's eye at the exchanging of the vows. Yeah, he was probably thinking about the bill for this whole shindig. You're so bad. I know. I'll miss him too. Look, your prince awaits with outstretched arms. I still think he looks more like a lifeguard than a cop. Leah took Otto's hand, and they danced the first waltz to the CD cut of Muskrat Love, booming out of the jerry-rigged sound system. She had the feeling her dad had picked the song. It was an affectionate gesture. Dad had always told her that when she was born, with such a full head of hair and a few patches of dark baby fur, which eventually lightened, he thought of her as a little muskrat, and so she was. End of Chapter 10, New Beginnings, Part 1. Primitive Life, a novel by Louise Richardson.